Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English Learning Story channel. Today, we are going to listen to a heartwarming story called My First Day at School. This story is perfect for beginners and intermediate English learners. It will help you improve your English vocabulary, listening skills, reading fluency, and sentence comprehension while enjoying an interesting and meaningful story. So, relax, listen carefully, and enjoy today's story. Let's begin. My name is Dara, and I will never forget my first day at school. Even though many years have passed since then, the memories remain clear in my mind. It was a day filled with excitement, fear, curiosity, and hope. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life, and at the time, I did not realize how important that day would become. The story began on a beautiful morning. The sun was slowly rising, and golden light entered my room through the window. Birds were singing outside, and the cool morning air made everything feel fresh and peaceful. Normally, I enjoyed sleeping late whenever possible, but that morning was different. I woke up before my alarm clock because I was too excited to sleep. As soon as I opened my eyes, I remembered that it was my first day at school. For a few moments, I stayed in bed and stared at the ceiling. My heart was beating faster than usual. I felt excited because I was finally going to school, like many older children in my neighborhood. At the same time, I felt nervous because I had no idea what school would be like. Would the teachers be kind? Would I make friends? Would I be able to understand the lessons? Many questions filled my mind. I slowly got out of bed and walked to the bathroom. After washing my face and brushing my teeth, I returned to my room and looked at my new school uniform hanging neatly on a chair. It looked clean and beautiful. My mother had prepared everything the night before. She wanted me to look my best on such an important day. I carefully put on the uniform. The clothes felt slightly uncomfortable because they were new, but I felt proud wearing them. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I smiled. For the first time, I truly felt like a student. Soon I walked into the kitchen where my parents were already awake. My mother was preparing breakfast, and my father was reading the newspaper. "Good morning," I said. "Good morning, Dara," my mother replied with a warm smile. "Are you excited?" "A little," I answered honestly. "A little excited or a little scared?" my father asked while laughing. I smiled nervously. "Maybe both." My parents laughed kindly. "That's normal," my mother said. "Everyone feels nervous on their first day." After breakfast, my mother helped me check my school bag one final time. Inside were notebooks, pencils, an eraser, and a few other supplies. Everything was organized carefully. When it was finally time to leave, my mother took my hand, and we began walking toward the school together. The streets were busy with other children and parents heading in the same direction. Some children looked happy and confident, while others looked nervous just like me. Seeing them made me feel a little better because I realized I was not the only one feeling anxious. As we approached the school, I could see the large building in the distance. It seemed much bigger than I had imagined. There were several classrooms, a playground, and many students walking around. The closer we got, the more nervous I became. At one point, I squeezed my mother's hand tightly. "Mom," I said quietly. "Yes?" "What if nobody wants to be my friend?" She smiled gently. "Don't worry. Just be kind and friendly. You'll make friends soon." Her words helped me feel a little more confident. When we reached the school gate, I stopped for a moment and looked around. Everything felt new and unfamiliar. Children were laughing, talking, and running around. Teachers were welcoming students and helping them find their classrooms. My mother guided me toward my classroom. When we arrived, I saw a teacher standing near the door. She had a kind smile and friendly eyes. "Good morning," she said warmly. "You must be Dara." I nodded shyly. "Welcome to our class." My mother spoke with the teacher for a moment before saying goodbye. That was the hardest part. As my mother prepared to leave, I suddenly felt nervous again. "Will you come back later?" I asked. "Of course," she replied. "I'll be waiting for you after school." I nodded slowly. Then she smiled, waved goodbye, and walked away. For a few seconds, I wanted to run after her. Instead, I took a deep breath and walked into the classroom. Inside, there were many desks and chairs. Colorful posters decorated the walls. The room looked bright and welcoming. I found an empty seat and sat down quietly. A few minutes later, another boy sat beside me. "Hello," he said. "Hello," I replied. "My name is Vanak." "I'm Dara." He smiled. "Are you nervous?" I laughed softly. "Very nervous." "Me too." We both laughed. That simple conversation made me feel much better. Soon, the classroom began filling with students. Some children were talking confidently, while others sat quietly. The teacher eventually stood at the front of the room and introduced herself. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Mrs. Shrenang, and I will be your teacher this year." Everyone listened carefully. She explained classroom rules, daily activities, and what we would learn throughout the year. Her voice was calm and friendly, which helped everyone relax. After introductions, we began our first lesson. The teacher wrote several letters on the board and asked us to repeat them together. At first, I felt shy about speaking in front of others. However, as the lesson continued, I became more comfortable. The teacher encouraged everyone to participate. Whenever a student answered correctly, she offered praise and encouragement. This made the classroom feel safe and welcoming. As the morning continued, we learned simple lessons, practiced writing, and participated in fun activities. To my surprise, I actually enjoyed it. School was not as frightening as I had imagined. In fact, it was becoming interesting. Before I knew it, lunchtime arrived. Students gathered outside to eat together. I sat under a tree with Vanek and several other classmates. At first, we spoke quietly, but soon everyone began sharing stories. We talked about our families, favorite foods, favorite games, and hobbies. The more we talked, the more comfortable I felt. By the end of lunch, I had already made several new friends. This was something I had worried about all morning. Now I realized that making friends was easier than I thought. All it required was kindness and conversation. After lunch, we returned to the classroom. The afternoon lessons were even more enjoyable. We practiced drawing, coloring, and simple reading activities. One assignment involved drawing our family. I carefully drew my parents, my house, and myself standing in front of it. When the teacher saw my drawing, she smiled. "Very good, Dara." Her compliment made me feel proud. Throughout the afternoon, I became more confident. I answered questions, participated in activities, and even volunteered during one exercise. The fear I felt in the morning was slowly disappearing. In its place was curiosity and excitement. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to return the next day. Eventually, the final bell rang. The school day was over. Students packed their bags and prepared to leave. As I walked toward the school gate, I saw my mother waiting exactly where she promised. Immediately, I ran toward her. She smiled and asked, "How was your first day?" I thought carefully before answering. This morning I had been scared. I had worried about teachers, lessons, and making friends. Now everything felt different. "It was amazing," I said. My mother smiled. "I knew you would enjoy it." As we walked home together, I told her everything that happened. I told her about my teacher, my new friend Vanak, the lessons, the activities, and the fun conversations during lunch. She listened carefully and smiled throughout the entire walk. That evening after dinner, I sat quietly in my room thinking about the day. I realized that I had learned something important. Many things in life seem scary before we experience them. We imagine problems that may never happen. We worry about failure before we even begin. However, when we find the courage to take the first step, we often discover that things are much better than we expected. My first day at school taught me more than reading and writing. It taught me about courage. It taught me about friendship. It taught me about confidence. Most importantly, it taught me that every new journey begins with a single step. As I climbed into bed that night, I felt happy and proud. Tomorrow would be another school day, and for the first time I was looking forward to it. I closed my eyes with a smile and drifted off to sleep, excited about all the adventures that awaited me in the future. Thank you for listening to today's English learning story. I hope you enjoyed my first day at school and learned useful English vocabulary and expressions. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and every new experience is an opportunity to learn and grow. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more English learning stories. See you in the next story. Goodbye.